So here I am in New York City in the back of a Rolls Royce going for an interview with the CEO of Lehman Brothers. No one would ever believe it, right?
No.
So I walk in and there is Pete Peterson, this huge boardroom. He was way at the other end. And I said, where would you like me to sit? He said, when can you start?
Wow.
That was the interview. I worked with him for almost 10 years.
Wow.
And, we're going to the White House, Melba Air Force One, I'm telling you, it was the best in my life, in anyone's life.
Okay, everybody, I couldn't be happier and prouder of this upcoming episode that I recorded in New York City in my hotel room with the wonderful Melba Duncan. What a role model and icon she's out there in our profession for decades and decades and decades. We've known each other only virtually. Our names have been popping up, but it was about time that we finally meet, and it was wonderful to meet her in her city, which is New York. So there's only one other recording I did in a hotel room, which was back in Cape Town when I was speaking at a conference, and that was a lovely recording with the former EA to Archbishop Tutu. So it's always the good ones that I meet in the hotel rooms. So I know you will enjoy this episode. Okay, everybody, I am sitting in a hotel room in New York City. And this is why it is a recording that is not a video recording. It is just audio, because I'm sitting here in the lovely hotel room, not far away from Bryant Park, which is my favorite park in New York City. And I'm not by myself. I'm sitting here with Melba Duncan. And I'm very honored that you are here today. Thank you so much for coming. And we had a great conversation already. There's so much to say about this profession. But first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
And I'm very honored for having you here. And I've asked you this in the elevator actually before. So are you a true New Yorker?
I am. I consider myself a true New Yorker. I love being here. I love the challenge. New York is a challenge.
It is.
I love the people. And I just feel very, very, in many ways, very respectful of all the changes that are taking place. I have a high regard for multiple populations and observing multiple populations trying to get by in New York City. You have to understand how to be in New York. They should hand that out as you land here. But it's a wonderful place. It's a wonderful place. And I find it's always enlightening. No matter where you go, you learn something. You observe, you learn, and you smile.
And speaking of observation, we had nice encounters in the elevator today, right?
Right? Yes.
It was nice. You had a lovely chat in the lobby with someone when I picked you up. So we need people everywhere.
Absolutely.
We're sitting here in this little room, and I'm just so fascinated by the work you've been doing the past decades.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the career of Melba. Was it a profession by choice or by accident that you came into this assistant role?
I would say, look, we tend to lean toward things that to which we gravitate, obviously. So my first position was as a receptionist, because when I had graduated high school and I wanted to go on to college, I was denied college.
Oh,
yeah. Well, look, that's the world we grew up in.
interesting.
And so I thought, okay, so I will get a position. My father was a scientist, so this is a very interesting family. And we were living in an area where it was, highly regarded, and we were different because of who we are and what, etc. So I get a position at a company called Continental Assurance Company, not insurance, assurance. I had to be careful about that. And I was the receptionist. And one day, the CEO comes out and he says, a client of mine, a friend of mine, is interested in hiring someone who has your skills, et cetera, et cetera. So I get introduced to Sanford Bernstein Company, and I was also a receptionist there at Sanford Bernstein Company. One day, Sandy comes out. I'm going to refer to him as Sandy, comes out and he says, I need you in my office today. My assistant is out ill and I need 2 people. So just pack up your things and come in. He was not the most gracious human being that you ever weren't to me, but at the same time, this is how you learn. Right. You know, he didn't have time to really coach me into walking into these. He just said, come on, let's go. And I thought, okay, this is who I need to be. So I worked with Sandy Bernstein for 4 years. Right. And during that time, I passed the registered rep exam, which allowed me to trade securities on the floor of the exchange. And all of that. I mean, I just learned from him every single moment of every day. And then the call came that there was an opportunity at Lehman Brothers. And his assistant was coming back. And so he said, I think you should go for the interview. So I went 4 times. Wow. For the interview. Every time you meet somebody different. This is for the CEO. He was just leaving the White House. And I didn't know a lot about all of that. And finally, the 5th time they called and said, we'd like you to come again. And I said, look, I really cannot do that. I have been leaving this office 4 times for meetings. Right. Now, this was uptown going down to Wall Street. Right. And so Sandy said, no, I want you to go. And Solomon Gardner, I hope you'll forgive me, Solomon Gardner was the driver. Yeah. And Sandy had a Rolls Royce. So here I am. He said, Solomon, take Melba, wait, and bring her back. So here I am in New York City, in the back of a Rolls Royce, going for an interview with the CEO of Lehman Brothers. No one would ever believe it, right? No. So I walk in, and there is Pete Peterson. They had this huge boardroom. He was way at the other end. And I said, where would you like me to sit? He said, when can you start? Wow. That was the interview. I worked with him for almost 10 years. Wow. And, you know, we're going to the White House, Melba Air Force One, I'm telling you, it was the best in my life, in anyone's life. And he had a wonderful family, and we still sort of communicate. Yes. Wonderful family. And with Bernstein, yeah. Claude Bernstein, Claude just wrote an appreciation column for my book that's coming out. Claude Bernstein. So, you know, when you have relationships yes. that are lasting, but for me, it was how I learned, who I thought I needed to be. Yes. And whenever I made a mistake, I know I would walk in and say, I did not do this, or I cannot get to this, et cetera, and just own it. It's so true. Just own it. We talked about this before, how important it is to own it and not to try to blame anyone else. That's right. If you did it, you have to stand person. Today we can say, you know, my computer doesn't. No. It's you. Absolutely. It always has to be for you, especially when you do this work. And when you work for individuals who sense the importance of what it is you do. Right. And if they don't, then you have to educate them. That's true. The beauty of this role is that you have to educate others in what you're capable of doing. So how did you do that with Peter? Did you educate him as well? And but when he just, you know, had this little tiny interview with you, basically asking you, okay, when can you start? Because obviously all the other interviews were brilliant. So that's why they hired you. But would you say that I did actually educate Peter as well in certain circumstances? I think so. Allowed this also? I think so. And, you know, it's personality. And he, you know, we can read about him. This is all public knowledge. He once said to me, you know, I am a minority, Melba. And I said, what? You know, this is when that word was starting to come out. Yeah. And I said to him, you're what? He said, yes. I said, well, could you kindly explain that to me? You know, because I'm doing what you're doing. I'm starting to laugh, you know, because we used to laugh all the time. And he said, well, I'm a Greek from Nebraska. Ooh. I mean, this is all public knowledge. I said to him, and that makes you a minority? He says, you are if you think you are. Yeah, that's true. All right. So the messages that just constantly come up as I'm smiling most of the time, it's really working for somebody who, in many ways, I had to, because I learned from Sandy Bernstein, precision. Mm-hmm. That's good. and how to write a message. I mean, come on, you do not make mistakes. Written communication skills today are essential.
That's so true.
So I would, in many ways, sit down at the end of the day. Everybody's gone. I would sit at my desk and I would write, this is what happened. This is what needs to happen. So I'd look at the next day. And when he would come in, I say to him, we have a next day 3-minute meeting, and he'd say, okay. And some days I would look and I'd say, not a good day, But whoever called would have to speak to me first. And that was also another aspect of this role, which is encouraging people to tell you what they are calling about.
Yes, absolutely.
Because otherwise, someone with the background of a Pete Peterson and the world of Pete Peterson, there are thousands of people around the globe who, I remember that we would have individuals coming from Japan, where my role was to meet and greet. That was it. I just had to meet, greet, and escort into the boardroom or into wherever the meeting was going to be held. And then he would say to me, sit down. So I'd sit in that meeting. It's so learning how to be in those circumstances. No one teaches us. We just have to observe, right?
And that's exactly what we've been talking about before as well, the observation, the privilege to have this opportunity to
That's
from your.
That's
So what was something then you observed when you saw the leadership style of Peter? What did you enjoy the most about and what you maybe took on when you started your entrepreneurship as well?
Yes, that's right. I think it was mostly being able to say to him, I didn't understand what you just said. Would you mind taking 5 minutes of your time? I know how busy you are, to let's go through what you've just asked me to do because I don't think I understand. He said, well, tell me what you've heard. Right. And we would have those kind of engagements. And he'd say, well, that's not quite what I meant. I said, well, that's what I heard. And that's why I'm asking you to help me to make sure. And then he would say, would you send an email to so-and-so? Would you send a message to so I had to have those written communication skills intact, because he would always say, Melba, could you send him a message? Or pick up the phone and call. I mean, there were people who were CEOs worldwide. Hi, Melba, this is so-and-so from or hello, how are you, Mr. So-and-so? No, call me by my first name. I would never do that.
Yeah.
All right. Just remember who to be. So
I was the same.
It's right.
Totally.
You could tell me to call you by your first name, but I'm afraid I will not do that.
Absolutely. Totally.
I will not do that,
So was it on your agenda that you started your own business? I mean, the Duncan Group and the Institute, the Leadership Institute. So was it a master plan or did it come by chance because you felt ready for it after the Lehman story and being an employed EA was over and you felt like that's my next step?
Well, I think during Lehman Brothers, they would always ask me to interview. Melba, could you meet with X, Y, and Z and tell us what you think? So I was actually doing, in many ways, the recruiting at Lehman, not formally, but just being asked, they want to work at a high level, tell us what you think, tell us what the person is. So one day I said to Pete, I'd like, when he said he was going to leave Lehman Brothers to start Blackstone, he said, Melba, whatever you want to do, tell me. I said, I think I'd like to start a business on my own. He said, what would you do? I said, I would do the interviewing. I said, and I would engage individuals who do the work that I do. So we were invited to go on the Today Show with Bryant Gumbel, Melba Duncan, Russ Reynolds, because Russ Reynolds actually helped me to set up the Duncan Group from a recruiting perspective. That's when enormous Russ Reynolds associates.
Absolutely.
So Melba, Russ Reynolds, Pete Peterson, sitting on the Today Show with Bryant Gumbel, talking about the next steps in my career. That's what Peterson would do. And so I learned from Russ Reynolds exactly how to do the recruiting business. And I started it. And, we've been doing it for a long time. I'm in many ways, I don't have a lot of flexibility about the basic skill set that you have to have, but I have a lot of flexibility in coaching. Not professionally coaching, but then I realized we should start an institute and start educating in this role. So we had professors who would actually write the program and deliver the program. And we ran the Duncan Leadership Institute. It's still active.
I know. And you just told me you're still teaching.
Yeah, you're still teaching.
Preparing the next generations of chief of staff.
That's right. That's right. That's the next generation. And we can't allow ourselves not to engage the talent that is out there, that we are not paying, to which we are not paying attention because we think the title locks someone in. Titles don't mean anything in a way, especially when it comes to, well, am I an assistant? Am I an administrative professional? Whatever it is, I use the title executive life manager. If you're going to be working for that person on a personal level, executive life manager, it's my title. But basically, it's a profession treated as such.
It is, yeah.
Treated as such.
And do we still need to educate the companies and the management and the HR departments out there that they see it is a profession and there's a career behind?
Exactly.
So when they hire an assistant, like on a junior level, so how do they come up to be CEO of? Is there a career path in that company? So how do you talk to companies? How do you talk to HR departments who are not aware of that? EAs out there who want to make their transition to the next level.
And that's how you grow your company from within. Hire the best talent you can find at any particular level and create the pathway for that person. So that if that person says, well, yes, I want to be an assistant, but someday I'd love to work for the CEO, allow that person to either learn internally or externally and support them financially with that education.
Right.
Put people out there into the world of education so that they understand what it means and what's intended for each one of those levels you support. You should understand the language that's being used. You should understand the methodology that's being applied. You should understand what that person's role is in the company.
Sure.
And what makes that person successful, and what can you do to encourage that success. All of that to me is important. And so when I speak to HR, I normally never position someone who thinks I've reached the end of my career, because what's the point?
Right.
You're stepping into a new environment with a new relationships, learn it, learn who that person is, and bring what you know, but also open the door for new knowledge.
Yes.
Everything today is out there. All we need to do is understand it. And somebody will say, well, Melba, not everyone has a college degree. I said, I understand that. But sometimes when you don't have a college degree, you have learned from life.
Yes. And honestly, there's so much possibility of self-educating right now out there on the internet and videos and LinkedIn learning.
You can learn anything you want. You can learn anything you want. So you really have to have the courage to know what you don't know. Admit to yourself what you don't know. I don't understand a word that person's just said. I need to figure out what it is. And, pencil and paper, write down, I heard this, I heard that. So for me, to me, as I said, the principles of indispensability or the principles of this role is you're not tyrannized by the urgent, right? Because everything is urgent. And you manage for strategic effectiveness. What do I need to do to make sure that everything is on time? Right. And everything that needs to be presented for this client, this executive or this person I support is really in place. And I have double checked. I've double checked my details. You plan for and manage your own development. Well, I have to constantly learn. When I hear about a new book, a new idea, a new technology, whatever it is, I'm going to sit down and figure out how can I learn this? What do I need to do to learn it? Sure. And learning is great, but you have to apply it. Otherwise, you haven't learned anything.
Yes, that is so true. And talk about your learning goals with your manager. Make them aware of what you want to work on this year. It was what I want to do in the first half of the year. This is the next AI course I want to take. This is the next, course on creativity.
That's correct.
Because as you will agree, both skills sets, the soft skills and the hard skills, are in need for every agent out there.
Absolutely.
And I always tell those assistants out there, don't forget to see the soft skills, because it's still the majority of skills when you look at a job description.
That's right. That's right.
And of course, everyone knows that we need to bring the digital competencies. Now it's AI skills. But hey, there's so much on the soft skill side. And I once had a boss, Melba, who said literally to me, I'm not going to invest in a soft skill training for you. you need to do that yourself. You need to own that. And I said, well, yes, I have it in me. Otherwise, I would not just here. But hey, I want to better on certain topics.
That's right.
And I would love to see more training up for EAs on emotional intelligence.
That's right.
Love to see more creativity.
Huge. We've written a book on EQI. These are the talents that are out there that are suppressed by position descriptions. When I read a position description, sometimes I smile to myself because I'm saying, yes, I understand all of this, but you're missing the person.
Yes.
You're missing, and I will say to HR, I understand your position descriptions, but let's think about the person who walks through that door.
Yes.
And when that person walks through that door, what do you think? We all have a moment that we sort of think, oh, okay, it will work or it won't work.
Yes, absolutely. Right? And sometimes, as we both say, it's just the first seconds, the way someone approaches you, the way you speak. And it's so much the present. And that's why I think also presentation skills, moderating skills. We need our profession to be in a room in new roles now, because technology takes over the roles in terms of the minute taker. Just to be the moderator, be the facilitator, be the one who's engaging in the conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is something I think we should really see more. And maybe this is a call to action for those out there who love to be in their second row seat.
Yes.
Because it's so comfortable. It's so cozy.
Yeah, I know.
I want to go
step out of that first comfort zone and into the world of new learning, and know what you don't know. To me, it's most important to say when I finish a conversation, I say, well, I had no idea about that.
See?
Which is what I said, my pencil and paper, because know what you don't know. And as I say, learn it. And if you can apply it, then you've learned it. If you don't apply it, you haven't learned it. Right?
Was there in any way a mentor in your life that helped you to speak up and to be present and to engage?
Sandy Bernstein.
Yeah.
Sandy Bernstein. And Pete Peterson also, because what Pete Peterson would do would say, this is Melba. Doesn't matter who it is. I mean, this is the White House. This is Melba. And then after a while, people would come in and say, oh, you must be Melba.
The branding.
You must be Melba. So I think I learned because I didn't think I knew anything. That was my thinking. I don't know anything. So every moment of every communication or every look or every exchange of information, I had to make sure I learned what it was all about, because I just didn't give myself nothing grandiose about doing this work.
And
it's all about
such an important approach. I remember when I went into the office in the room, the desk of my manager is, and he had a magazine open. And I saw that he was reading something. He went on a lunch break. I went there.
And
I took a picture. I wanted to read that article on the way home from
absolutely.
Because I knew that's what he is interested in. I need to be interested.
That's absolutely right.
And it was so helpful.
It is so helpful. What do you like to do? What do you enjoy? Et cetera, et cetera. And, knowing all the things that are important to that person, that's what you learn and understand. That allows you to understand who that person is and who that person might become under circumstances. Who do we become?
And let's not forget, and you said this also before in our conversation, it's not only our manager, our executive, it's the colleagues. There's so many steps.
Absolutely.
We have.
Absolutely.
That's why we need to remind ourselves to be customer-centric in this role.
Exactly.
Because what I see sometimes out there, some assistants are just so focused on their executive. They just praise.
As opposed to what's around.
Like they forgot that there's so much else. There's a team. There's internal, external.
That's right.
Clients.
That's right.
Hey, we need to
helping others to be great.
Yeah.
That's part of the role.
And
that's part of the role.
It's really crucial.
It's really crucial. And looking at others, not, as I say, if you're in the C-suite, I understand that C-suite concept, right. But you cannot get things done unless you can step outside of the C-suite into the rest of the world.
That's true.
That's how you get things done. That's how you can move what needs to be moved, and people respect who you are. Yes. And by doing that, you demonstrate who others might want to be in your role. Yeah. You teach others how to be great in what they do,
So how do we take the fear away from some assistants out there who are afraid of AI? What do you tell them?
Well, AI is a tool. It's like a pencil. It's like a pad. It's like a computer. It's a tool. Right. It is not a human replacement. Right. And AI, for those who think that we can use AI to write on our behalf, don't do it. Don't do it. Continue to learn, because as I said before, there's nothing greater than the human brain. Yes. AI exists because of the human brain. Exactly. And tomorrow something else will take its place. It's true. Because the human brain is now trying to has already seen that it's already exhausted the world with the concept of AI replacing humans. It's not replacing humans. So it is a method, and it's a technology, and it could be used as a tool, but it does not substitute for who you are and what you're capable of doing. Nothing can, technology can't take your place. And again, you're assaulting yourself if you think that AI can be a danger for you. That's right. Own your strength, be aware of your talents. Absolutely. And again, educate others where you feel like, I want to get closer to this topic. I want to engage more in this field. Exactly. So who's going to be my mentor? Who's going to be a relevant stakeholder, right? So I think this is crucial right now, especially since a lot of EAs are looking into the career path of the chief of staff. That's correct. So what do you think? What needs to be on the resume, but not on the resume that we know it, but what needs to be in the skill set of an EA to come to the next level of potentially becoming a chief of staff? I think I would summarize it. Interpersonal skills. Yes. Collaborative, organized, efficient, diplomatic, and independent. One human being I'm talking about. And strategic. Sound judgment. Sense of urgency, collaborative, professional, and resourceful, with the ability to work independently, and most important, as a team player. Right. Always. And take initiative and manage multiple tasks, relationships, and projects where appropriate. Trustworthy, with the ability to handle confidential matters and sensitive information. Experience in managing large or complex projects. Comfort with ambiguity. Yeah. Don't we exist in that? Very good. Our days are built. The foundation of this role is ambiguity. Right. And so to me, this is just new learning all the time. Yeah. Time management skills, attention to detail. Very important. Oh, yeah. Executive presence. When I look today and I see sometimes how some people dress, and, you have to think of where you are and why you are there. Yes. Because when someone meets you for the first time, the total image is captured. It's true. It's captured. Yeah. So executive presence, demonstrating comfort, speaking internally or externally on behalf of the executive. Yes. It's my voice. I had to be able to speak and convey a message on behalf of Pete Peterson and not make it my message. Yeah. It's not my message. And can I add, without having an agenda? That's right. There's no discussion. There's no agenda, no own agenda. Right. We go in such a role. That's right. That's right. So I think we say smart, strategic, diplomatic, and proactive, and flexible to work in a fast-paced, highly interactive culture. That's the world in which we live. Yes. So learn how to be and who to be. Yes. In this world that we talk about. Absolutely. And tell us about the book, Melba. So you're writing the book. We want to know a few pieces already. When can we hear more about it? Well, I can tell you that the book defines the executive assistant and global expansion. We talk about what are the indispensable traits and skills without which workers and companies simply will not be able to succeed. So we have questions like this. What constitutes relationship management at the executive level? What makes a partnership with the executive? What are the impossible demands placed on the executive assistant? Executive essays and interviews contribute to the message of the test. This book is I think is a valuable conversation about the workplace and workers in the 21st century while answering 5 key questions: the rules of engagement, skills required, business partnership, deliberation, and obviously chief of staff. We have CEOs who've contributed to the book.
Fantastic.
And we have about 5 or 6, I think, professional relationship with whom we've had communication submit sort of quotes that they would like to have engaged in the book. So we can send you some details about it. That's Max.
Absolutely. We definitely, and by the way, Max, we need to give a shout out on the podcast to Max, who did a fabulous preparation for everything. And it's possible that we're sitting here today.
That's right.
That's your shout out, Max. Thank you so much. And yeah, time comes to an end. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Same here.
But I only want to give you that last question. If there's one wish you could give out to managers, HR departments, once again, really understanding why we are there and we continue that year, what will it be? What is your message, the core message you want to address?
I think I would ask managers, CEOs, spend time with the person who supports you every day. Spend time to ask what that person needs from you in order to be able to be more effective. Spend time telling that person what you have observed that you think they need to be aware of. Because the friendship component is inherent within this role, and to whom you report. So spend the time and to give that person the opportunity for new learning. Inside or outside of your organization. Because the more they learn, is the better your life is going to be. You see, it benefits, as I say to executive, it benefits you to have assistants who are engaged in new learning and applying new ideas and in fact, bringing in some suggestions. Encourage suggestions from the person who supports you.
And I couldn't say it any better because it starts with the onboarding process. And you know this from the work you've been doing all these years with your agency. So the onboarding is crucial already, to both sides. But, you know, the spending time continues. It's commitment, both sides.
It's commitment.
And there's not a single other constellation in a company closer than what we see.
That's correct.
Executives and their support staff.
There's nothing.
So that's why we need a mutual agreement here and a collaboration. And it should come natural.
That's right. But make sure the fit is right. You know, because if that fit isn't there, neither side grows and expands. The fit has to work. I think that's essential.
So everyone out there, I hope you found your matches. You have the great executives next to you. It has been a pleasure talking to you, Melba.
Oh, I can't tell you what an absolute delight it is first to meet you in person. It is an absolute delight. I am truly, you see, the work that I do, I am truly, in many ways, so appreciative for the people I get to meet, and you especially. What you are doing for this population, you've got to come back to New York. You've got to come back. We need you here. We really do. Because your energy and the fact that you really trust what each of these individuals is compelled to do in their lives, and I feel compelled. I think that we lose by not having you here with us.
It would be an honor.
Well,
so
we'll do that.
Plans.
We'll do that.
Thank
and
you.
Centenary Board. I know that Dr. Dale Caldwell. Well, Max would love to meet you in person, and Dr. Dale Caldwell. So we'll make sure that happens.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll make sure. It's a pleasure.
Appreciate your time. And of course, we keep you updated when Melba's book is coming out. I will make sure to address it in my newsletter. So if you're not following my newsletter, make sure you check in with the show notes. Also, check in with the show notes when it comes to Melba. She's on LinkedIn. She has a website. If you're looking for a new job in the New York City area, connect with Melba, and I can only say it has been a huge honor talking to her. I wish we had more time to enjoy the city together, but she was off to her next meeting in New Jersey, but it was lovely to spend some time. And as you heard, she invited me back, so I'm definitely coming back, and let's see what plans we're gonna have for the next trip.